Have you ever wondered what you would find if you walked into an Amish home? Not the tourist version, not the television version, but the real thing, and what every single item in that house is doing there, and why not one of them is decorative. The wood stove is the first object you notice when you walk into an Amish home because it is positioned at the center of the main living space, and because, for much of the year, it is running. It does not do one job, it does three. It heats the room and the rooms adjacent to it. It provides the surface for cooking when the kitchen cook stove is not in use. And it dries the laundry. Wet clothing hung on racks nearby or draped over chairs within its warmth radius, drying through the evening without a dryer, without electricity, and without a utility bill at the end of the month. The kerosene lamp when the sun goes down in an Amish home, the kerosene or propane lamp takes over. These are not decorative antiques placed on shelves for aesthetic effect. They're the primary lighting system for the entire household, carried from room to room as needed, hung from ceiling hooks in the kitchen and living areas, placed on tables where reading or sewing happens after dark. The most common type is a thorium mantle lamp that burns kerosene or naphtha and produces a bright, steady white light significantly more useful than a candle. More progressive Amish communities have moved to propane lighting, wall-mounted fixtures with mantles that produce consistent light for cooking, reading, and evening work. Neither system connects to the electrical grid. Neither produces a monthly utility bill. Neither requires a power company, a meter, or an account. The lamp is filled, the mantle is lit, and the room is bright. That is the entire system. The handmade quilt every bed in an Amish home has at least one handmade quilt on it. In a household of 10 people sleeping through a January night that drops to negative 20 degrees with no central heating, the quilt is not a decorative accent. It is the primary insulation system. 3 layers of material, a cotton or wool batting in the center, held together by thousands of hand stitches placed at 8 per inch. The air trapped between those layers does the thermal work. A person sleeping under 2 or 3 Amish quilts on the coldest night of the year is warm entirely from their own body heat and the insulating capacity of the textile above them. The treadle sewing machine is present in every Amish household because every Amish household makes its own clothing. The Ordnung specifies the style, color, and construction of every garment worn by every family member. Those garments cannot be purchased from a store. They must be made at home, from fabric purchased in bulk and sewn according to patterns that have not changed in generations. The treadle machine is powered by foot, a rocking pedal that drives the needle through a system of belts and pulleys without any electrical connection. It requires no motor, no cord, and no power outlet. In a household with multiple children, the sewing machine runs regularly throughout the year, producing new dresses, shirts, trousers, aprons, and bonnets as children grow and garments wear out. When something tears, it goes back to the machine rather than the trash. The treadle machine is the reason an Amish family of 10 can be fully clothed without a single visit to a clothing store. The chiming clock, a mechanical clock, typically wall-mounted and typically chiming, is one of the most consistently present objects in Amish homes across every settlement and affiliation. The Amish day is organized around time in a way that requires a reliable timepiece. Morning milking has time. School has a time. The church has a time. Meals have a time. The work schedule of a farm household running without electric lighting or alarm clocks depends on a clock that can be read at any hour and that announces the passing of each hour without being consulted. The mechanical chiming clock does this. It runs on a wound spring or hanging weights, requires no battery and no electrical connection, and announces each hour audibly to everyone in the household regardless of where they are in the room. Some Amish homes have clocks that chime a tune on the hour, a musical announcement that has become one of the characteristic sounds of the Amish interior. Calendars appear alongside clocks on Amish walls, often featuring nature scenes or community-specific information like the birth dates of settlement members. Together, the clock and the calendar organize the Amish day, week, and year without a smartphone, without a digital assistant, and without any connection to an outside power source. Time is kept mechanically, as it has been kept in Amish homes since the community first arrived in Pennsylvania in the early 18th century. The family birth record. Every Amish home contains some form of family record, a document, a frame display, or a wall hanging that lists the names and birth dates of the family's members across generations. In a community where family identity and lineage are central to social life, where the same surnames recur across multiple generations and the same given names repeat so frequently that the community developed elaborate nickname systems to distinguish between them, the family record serves a practical function beyond sentiment. It is the household's primary identity document, a record of who belongs to this family, when they were born, and how they connect to the generations before them. Some family records trace ancestry back several generations, listing parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents alongside the current household's children. Some are simple handwritten lists in a common book. Others are decorative displays mounted on the wall of the main living room, visible to every visitor who enters the home. The birth record of a new child is added when the child arrives. The death of an elder is noted. The document is not stored in a drawer or kept on a digital device. It is displayed because the family's connection to its past and its present is not a private matter in Amish culture. It is a shared identity, and the record on the wall makes that identity visible. The can jar shelves. The shelves lining the walls of an Amish cellar or pantry hold the household's food supply for the months when the garden is not producing. Every Amish home that maintains any level of self-sufficiency has them. Rows of glass mason jars sealed with metal lids, filled with the preserved products of the summer and autumn harvest. A well-prepared household enters winter with 300 to 500 jars across a range of contents: green beans, tomatoes, corn, pickles, beets, applesauce, fruit preserves, jams, meat, soup bases, and fermented vegetables. The jars are processed through water bath canning for high-acid foods like fruit and pickles, and through pressure canning for low-acid foods like vegetables and meat. Each method creates a vacuum seal that keeps the contents shelf-stable at room temperature for 12 to 18 months. The jars do not require refrigeration. They do not require electricity. They sit on wooden shelves in a cool cellar and wait. From October through April, the months when the garden is dormant and fresh produce is unavailable, the family draws from those shelves for every meal. The jar of tomatoes canned in August becomes the base of the February soup. The green beans put up in July become the side dish in December. The can jar shelf is not a backup system. It is the primary food system for half the year, and every Amish home that takes its self-sufficiency seriously fills it before the first frost arrives. The German Bible, the Bible, is present in every Amish home, and the version present is specific. The primary religious text used in Old Order Amish worship and household devotion is a German-language Bible, the Luther Bible in High German. The same text used in Amish church services conducted in a mixture of High German and Pennsylvania Dutch. This is not simply a religious object. It is a linguistic anchor. Pennsylvania Dutch, the dialect spoken daily in Amish households, is not a written language in the way English is. It exists primarily in speech, passed from parent to child through daily use. High German, by contrast, is the language of the written religious tradition, of the Bible, of the Osbund hymnal, of the martyr's mirror that documents the persecution of Anabaptist ancestors in Europe. An Amish child who grows up hearing the Bible read in High German and learning to read it in that language is simultaneously being formed in faith and in a written linguistic tradition that connects them to the entire history of their community. The Bible on the shelf of an Amish home is therefore doing more than providing access to religious text. It is maintaining a connection to the language of worship that distinguishes Amish religious life from the English-speaking world around it. In more conservative Amish households, Family devotions happen daily. A passage read aloud, a prayer spoken, the household gathered before the working day begins. The Bible makes that practice possible and gives it its specific character. The wringer washer, the wringer washing machine, is one of the least glamorous but most essential objects in any Amish household, and it is present in every one of them. It does the laundry for a family that may have 10 or 12 members, that wears clothing made entirely from natural fibers, and that has no access to a standard electric washing machine or a commercial laundromat. The wringer machine operates on a simple mechanical principle. A drum agitates the clothing in soapy water, and a pair of rubber rollers, the wringers, squeeze excess water from each item as it is passed through them. The wringing removes most of the moisture from the fabric before it goes to the clothesline, reducing drying time significantly. The machine is powered by a gasoline engine mounted to drive the agitator, or in some households by a diesel or propane system. It requires no grid electricity. It requires fuel, water, and soap, all of which the household supplies independently. Monday is traditionally laundry day in Amish households, an entire day dedicated to the washing, wringing, and hanging of the family's clothing. Lines run from the house to outbuildings, filling with shirts, trousers, dresses, aprons, and bedding throughout the morning. In winter, the laundry freezes on the line before it dries, and it is brought inside to finish drying near the wood stove. The wringer machine makes this possible at a scale that hand washing could not manage for a household of 10. The rocking chair is present in every Amish main room, and it is there because it does more than provide a place to sit. It provides a place to work while sitting. An Amish woman who sits in a rocking chair in the evening is not resting in the modern sense of the word. She is knitting, mending, quilting, shelling beans, or doing some other handwork that can be performed while her hands are in motion and her body is at relative rest. The rocking motion itself, the gentle, rhythmic movement that the chair produces, has been documented to reduce tension and improve alertness in the person using it. It keeps the body just active enough to sustain focus through several hours of fine handwork in the evening after a full day of physical labor. The rocking chair is also where nursing mothers sit with infants, where elderly family members spend their slower hours, and where the sick rest during recovery. It is the one piece of furniture in the Amish home that serves across the entire arc of human life, from the infant being held to the elder whose working years have slowed. Amish rocking chairs are built by the same craftsmen who make all Amish furniture, from solid hardwood, using mortise and tenon joinery, with no screws and no staples, designed to last for generations rather than for a decade. The chair that a grandmother rocks in tonight may be the chair her granddaughter rocks in 50 years from now. That is not an accident of durability. It is the intended outcome of how it was built. The 10 objects described in this video are not the only things present in an Amish home. They are the 10 that appear in every Amish home regardless of settlement, affiliation, or region. The objects that are so consistently present across 300 years in 28 states that their absence would indicate something unusual about the household. What they share is function. Not one of them is primarily decorative. The wood stove heats and cooks. The kerosene lamp lights. The quilt insulates. The treadle machine produces clothing. The clock organizes time. The family record preserves identity. The jar shelves store food. The Bible anchors faith and language. The wringer washer cleans. The rocking chair enables evening work. Every object is doing something every day. This is the defining characteristic of the Amish home as a physical space. It is organized around what things do rather than around how things look. The modern home has largely reversed this priority. Objects are chosen for their appearance, their brand, their signal of taste or status, and their compatibility with a style. Function is secondary to presentation. The Amish home does not participate in that logic. Fabric patterns on the walls are not permitted. Decorative items without practical function are discouraged. What hangs on the wall must tell time, record a birth, or carry a verse. It must do something. What sits on the floor must be used. What stands in the corner must work. The result is a home that looks simple from the outside and reveals, on closer inspection, that every inch of it is occupied by something that earns its place every single day.